Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Carter Walker. Love talking about movies, music, games, and comics. If you're interested in any of that, feel free to check out my channel. Got a lot of content on there. Today I just wanted to do kind of the last of the trilogy of videos I've been doing, like the top 10 best, 5 worst. I just wanted to do my 10 most anticipated for 2023. So there's a lot of surprises that can pop up every year, and with me trying to expand kind of my movie knowledge and just all the videos and movies that I watch, I'm not saying that I'm not excited for the movies that I'm about to talk about, but I just love being able to walk into a theater and being surprised. Of course, I hope all the movies that I'm looking forward to this year are great. All the movies on my 10 most anticipated. If any one of them wasn't very good, I'd be pretty bummed. I couldn't get every movie that I'm looking forward to on the list. We have some honorable mentions. These are just the 10 that I'm looking forward to the most, and I'll have some reasons. And I am cheating a little bit, so let's get right into number 10. I have this separated into two parts. Number 10 is 2 horror movies from 2 franchises that I really enjoy, that have had good movies and some missteps in my opinion. And so the first part of number 10 that I'm going to be looking at is Saw 10. Saw 10, I am cautiously optimistic. I'm not a fan of Jigsaw. I'm not a fan of Saw 7 or 5 or 4. 6 is fun. Spiral is an interesting place for the franchise to go, I guess. It's entertaining. It's not my favorite. I'm not a big fan of 3 like most people are. I really enjoy 1 and 2 though. 1 is one of my favorite horror movies ever made. I really do love that movie. I believe the storytelling is just genius in that movie, especially with the twist at the end, and it's very original and it's a very fun idea. You can tell that there's just so much love going into that, and James Wan and Lee Winnell just put their heart into that movie. So when Saw 10 comes around, I'm hoping it's a step backwards. I'm hoping it's a step back from all the way back until the first 3 movies, going back to the originality of things, and it's got more traps, more interesting traps. Hopefully it's got some bearable characters. Notice I say bearable and not great, because the Saw movies are really bad when it comes to characters. Really, it's like, even Dr. Gordon in the first movie is just such a dick sometimes, and Adam is so whiny. Chris Rock's character just feels out of place. Really, John Kramer is the only great character in those movies. I may be forgetting some, I haven't seen him in a long time. But I'm really looking forward to how they're going to do this movie, because they got John Kramer coming back, and it's going to be kind of a prequel set between Saw 1 and 2, so it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of potential for it to go places. As long as they don't do a new, oh my gosh, a new Apprentice twist, it'll be automatically better than 7 and Jigsaw. Which is, that's something in this franchise, that's something. So hopefully, they stick the landing with this one, and they assemble a team that actually does care about Saw, because you can tell Chris Rock did care, but it was kind of a project that was taken from a different script. You can tell it wasn't quite 100% a Saw movie. Hopefully this one goes back to feeling like a Saw movie, and actually one of the good ones. So going into the second part of number 10, I have Evil Dead Rise. Disclaimer, the first Evil Dead is one of my favorite horror movies of all time as well. I know I said that about Saw, and I'll say that about another one of the movies on this list, but I adore the first Evil Dead. I think what Sam Raimi did there is genius. It's genuinely scary, it's unnerving. Bruce Campbell does a great job just being very physical with his role. He's a very good actor, actually. The gore and makeup effects in the first Evil Dead are wonderful. The second one, I'm surprisingly not that big of a fan of. I don't think it balances the slapstick with the horror as well. I prefer the story of the first one. And Army of Darkness, I really haven't finished it all the way through, so I can't really have an opinion on that, unfortunately. However, the Evil Dead remake I thought was good. I don't think it's as great as some people are making it out to be, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's a very good, successor to the franchise that does go pretty over the top with some of the gross out horror and gore it does, that it kind of just turns me off of that movie. There's a lot in that movie that is just like, wow, that is filthy. I get it. I know what they were going for, just especially with some of the stuff they do. It's just like, wow, that is disgusting. I did not need to see that. But I'm looking forward to Evil Dead Rise. It might be more the same, where it's like, wow, that is absolutely vile. I did not care to see that. But it looks like it might be in more of a fun way. I really dig the apartment setting. It's a very different setting we get for the Evil Dead franchise. The trailer that we got was good. It did a great job of showing off some of the kills and the gore that we're going to get. I hope this one kind of toes the line between the original Evil Dead and the remake, and also adds in just, some good characters along the way. Number 9, we have Indiana Jones 5, The Dial of Destiny. Full disclosure, I absolutely love Raiders and Last Crusade. I have posters for them right there. Hopefully I can remember to show them in editing. But they're, two of my favorite, like top 20 movies of all time. This should be a bit higher, but honestly I don't really like Kingdom of Crystal Skull. I don't think it's very good. I just was very let down by that movie. Temple of Doom is good. It's an Indiana Jones movie, but I don't think it holds a candle to Raiders and Last Crusade. And I was very nervous about them bringing back, 80-year-old plus Harrison Ford for this movie. It just seems like it's very risky to do. I respect that they want to do it the same actor, which I prefer. I believe Harrison Ford is great for acting, and I mean, he even joined the MCU as Thunderbolt Ross, so who knows, we could be getting the Harrison Ford resurgence here coming up. But I wasn't really looking forward to it, and then they announced that James Mangold is directing. I love Logan. Repeat the same sentence I've said probably 4 times already. Logan, one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely in my top 3 favorite superhero movies ever made. I think Logan is a masterpiece. I don't see really anything wrong with that movie. Hopefully I get the sense to make a video about it soon, but James Mangold, perfect choice for director. He killed it with Logan, did an excellent job with Ford v Ferrari, and I believe that he's the type of person to bring care and love to his projects, and also a very good work ethic for himself and his crew. So I'm hoping that Indiana Jones 5 can be a return to form for the franchise. The fact that we don't know that much about the story and the first trailer didn't give all that much away, besides that there will be some flashback scenes, was very exciting. Hopefully they can nail down the CGI and the practical effects by then, but I'm looking forward to this movie a lot more than I was maybe about 6-7 months ago. On to number 8, we have Scream 6. The first Scream, again, going back to that sentence, my favorite horror movie of all time. It is in my top 10 favorite movies. I adore that first movie. Wes Craven did such a great job with reinventing the horror genre then, and just providing such a fun meta-commentary on it. The sequels are good. I think 2 is a really good movie. Not as great as people say it is. 3, when Scream 3 is the worst movie in your slasher franchise, and it's a slasher threequel, there's worse places to be. 4 is extremely underrated. That is one of the best slasher sequels I've ever seen, and it's probably the second best Scream movie by far. Got some great kills in there, a great story, but they added the stupid effect over every single shot. Gosh, I hate that. It sucks so bad. 5 is really good too. I honestly need to rewatch it because I did really enjoy 5. I didn't reinvent the wheel, but it's a fun legacy sequel that I think has a lot of potential to go forward, which is what they're doing in number 6 with the New York setting. I hope that they can do well without Neve Campbell. I'm not entirely convinced that they need a Neve Campbell for a Scream movie. She's a great final girl, but I think 5 was a good way of showing that they can write her to be kind of a side character and focus on other characters. Scream also has no shortcoming of having bad characters. I mean, in the first one you have Stu and Randy and Billy and all those great characters like Dewey and Gale, of course. The original cast are very, they work so well together, and the dynamic between the whole cast is amazing. They didn't quite capture the magic since then, I think, but hopefully with this new cast, additions like Tony Revolori, Samara Weaving, and with Gale taking a more center stage role, I'm hoping they can bring it back a little bit. I'm very excited for this movie, but I'm also a little nervous with that really fast turnaround that they had. They also had kind of the same turnaround from Scream to Scream 2, with just like over a year, I believe. You can tell that maybe Sydney might be a little bit missed here, but with the reintroduction of Kirby, I'm kind of looking forward to see where things will go and seeing what the meta commentary they provide in this is, because the meta commentary in the Scream movies, apart from like the killer reveals, the most important thing to me as a Scream fan. So I'm wearing a Scream shirt. I adore the movies. I'm just hoping that this one can stick the landing and maybe add some more chase sequences and some more guts and gore. Coming in at number 7, we have Creed 3. I'm not the biggest Rocky fan on the planet. My friend Gage adores the Rocky movies. He's seen them like a million times. Showed me the first Rocky, but it was like probably like 3 a.m. I fell asleep a little bit during it. I've seen it since, and I think it's a great movie. The sequels I haven't seen all the way through. Rocky 4 is really fun. Rocky Balboa is a great movie, but the Creed and Creed 2 movies, I love those movies. Those are like my Rocky movies. I grew up seeing those movies because my dad is a huge Rocky fan, and so he'd take us to go see Creed and Creed 2, and we own them. We'd watch them all the time. Michael B. Jordan is just a powerhouse. I love that guy. I'm very interested to see where he does in the directing chair, see what he does with that, see where he goes. And also Jonathan Majors is a big plus. I am a really big Jonathan Majors fan. I think he does a great job in almost everything he's in. I am very excited to see him in the MCU in the upcoming months and years. hopefully further down the list as well. And I think that he does a really fun job in The Harder They Fall, which is the Netflix cowboy movie. But I'm just very excited to see where they go with this one. The first trailer was incredible. They both just look jacked out of their minds, and it looks like it's going for a slightly more original story than, just the son of Mr. T, which it could be interesting, but I think they made the right call with making it someone from Adonis's past. The only issue here is that Sylvester Stallone isn't returning and that he's not giving the movie his blessing, which is kind of weird. Not fully aware of all the drama behind the scenes there, so I could be totally wrong. I'm not going to speak on it, but hopefully that Sylvester Stallone and producer drama can get solved, because I think Michael B. Jordan could really impress in the director's chair. He's a great actor. Jonathan Majors is a great actor, and the Creed movies have never let me down in terms of quality. But I'm really looking forward to this movie. I think that the performances are going to be incredible. The boxing scenes in both Creed movies, amazing. So I'm looking forward to more boxing scenes. I think they can really hammer this one home, and it'll be in my top 10 favorites of the year. Number 6 is The Flash. I've maybe talked about this movie 5 times, but I've had to cut it all because I keep messing up just what's going on with this movie or what I'm saying about Ezra Miller and everything that's going on with that actor. I'm just bare bones, a ton of negative buzz about Ezra Miller. Cast that all aside. I think, in the Snyder Cut, The Flash is done well. I love the scene with The Flash where he's going into, the Speed Force, turns back time, and saves the day. That's probably one of my favorite movie scenes ever. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I think that The Flash has a potential to be a really great comic book movie. Everything I'm hearing about this movie, early buzz that's about the movie itself, is positive. The Black Flash look got leaked. I don't think it's very good. The Flash with the bat suit look got leaked. I don't think it's very good either. The original Flash suit looks great. Ezra Miller hopefully will do wonderful as Barry Allen in The Flash. I think Barry Allen, he's a great character. He is so much fun in the DC universe and in the comics, so hopefully they can nail that here. Michael Keaton back as Batman, very interesting. That's probably the thing that's intriguing me the most about this movie is Michael Keaton back as Batman, and a lot of the leaked plot from test screenings sounds really freaking cool. Kind of like a road trip all over the DC universe timeline. So I'm very excited where that's going to go, and I'm very excited to see what they do in this movie with Barry Allen. I'm also interested to see what they're going to do with Ezra Miller, to see if they will recast the character of Barry Allen and bring someone new in to play Barry, or if they're just going to go to Wally West or something like that, because the DC needs a Flash, I believe, and James Gunn and Peter Safran are hopefully planning that in. But again, I just don't know what to say about this movie. I'm looking forward to it because I'm a big comic book fan, and it's one of 3 DC movies coming out next year. The other 2 I don't think are as exciting as this. 4 DC movies, wow. The other 3 I don't think are as exciting as The Flash. So hopefully they can bring something really special to the Flash movie. And Andy Muschietti, great director. I absolutely love It Chapter 1. It Chapter 2, the less I say about that, the better. But I think It Chapter 1 is a great movie. So hopefully Andy can just hammer this movie home and bring what all the DC fans want. Alright, so now that I've spent probably around 10 minutes talking about The Flash and just all that footage is going to be thrown out the window, I'm going to talk about my honorable mentions. A few of them that I'm just going to kind of throw out real fast are Aquaman 2 and Shazam 2 and Blue Beetle, the 3 DC films that are coming next year, or this year, wow. I'm really looking forward to them, actually. I'm a big fan of Aquaman and Shazam 1, if I'm being frank. I really do love those movies. I think Aquaman is just a really fun time. Yeah, it's super cheesy, it doesn't have an original story, this and that, but I just think it's fun. It's a really fun comic book movie that is just so silly and over the top that you can't help but love it. I do hope that Black Manta and Ocean Master take a bigger role in this movie, Black Manta especially, because I do love him as a villain. I think he does great in Aquaman. As for Shazam, I'm looking forward to this movie. The trailer really didn't sell me. I did not like the trailer. I kind of just I don't think they got the humor as good as the first one, because the first one is really freaking funny, and it has a great heart to it. The scene where Billy finds out his mom gave him away, doesn't want him, is really well done, and I think that has a great message to tell. Maybe in Shazam 2, I'm worried it's a little bit overstuffed because of the family characters, and I think that the focus on family could be a little too Fast and Furious-esque, which they even poked fun at in the trailer, but I'm a little worried about it. I think Zachary Levi is great as Shazam, and Asher Angel is great as Billy Batson. The cast is awesome, but I'm just worried it's going to be a little overstuffed with the 3 villains and the whole Shazam family, but crossing my fingers that it's going to be good. Blue Beetle, everything I've heard about that movie is that it rocks. don't know anything else. I like Amy Ramirez from the comics and Injustice 2, so I'm really looking forward to it. Now on to the honorable mentions that I do have things to say. The first is going to be Oppenheimer. I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. I have the Interstellar poster right there. I think that's my favorite movie that he's done, along with Inception and The Dark Knight. Okay, it's a three-way tie. That doesn't count. But I love Nolan. I think he does a great job. I'm very interested to see what he does with a biopic-centered movie, one that doesn't have action in it as far as I'm aware, one that doesn't have like elaborate scenes apart from him, wanting to blow stuff up and make it real. That's just what I've heard. It could be totally a joke, it could be real, but I'm very interested to see what Nolan does with a biopic. I think that's why I'm throwing it up here. That and the insane cast. Every person you think of is in this movie. I think Cillian Murphy is going to do a great job. I'm interested to see what Robert Downey Jr. can bring. Jack Quaid is wonderful. I love him in The Boys and in Scream 5. And as far as the rest of the cast, I'm going to be honest, I haven't stayed up to date with that movie as much as I should have. I just know that it's stacked. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very interested to see. The only reason it's not going to rank higher is just because I'm wondering how Nolan's going to handle a biopic movie. And the other honorable mention that I'll talk about right now is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. I love the Transformers movies. They're my guilty pleasure, along with Fast and the Furious. I think they're just a ton of fun, especially 1, 3, and 4. They're way fun, way more fun than anyone gave them credit for. I actually went over the summer with Gage and Luke to go see Transformers 1 in theaters, and it was just like a great time. Like, we were just having the time of our lives. It's so much fun. I wish that they could go back to making simple movies like that with just like blockbusters that just have robots fighting robots. It looks incredible, it sounds incredible, it's funny. And I like the sequels, The only one I really despise is probably The Last Night. I just don't like that movie. Bumblebee is a great movie, and it looks like they're kind of heading in the same Gen 1 era of Transformers. I'm excited because it's just Transformers. Guilty pleasure. Will it have any merit? I sure hope so. I hope it's a lot like Bumblebee, where it has something to say and it actually has a good story with good characters, but also some of that delicious Bay action thrown in. Going into number 5 is going to be John Wick 4. I love the John Wick movies. Me and my dad watch them all the time. My dad, my brother, and I even went and saw the third one in the theaters opening night and just had the greatest time watching that movie. It's so much fun. And number 2 and number 1 are just as fun. I think the story, number 1 has the best story, number 2 has the best world building, and number 3 has the best action. So I'm hoping that John Wick 4 can kind of, blend those all together. As the story side of things, I'm not sure what's going to happen, especially with the ending of 3. Kind of seemed like they could have wrapped it up, but they just wanted to make a few more John Wick movies, which it's bittersweet. It's a double-edged sword. I'm like, yes, more John Wick movies, more excuses for Keanu Reeves to just do insane things with like everyday household items and just have like the most insane kills. But then I'm also like, oh, it should have ended in 3. It had a perfect place to wrap up that story. Like, now he's no longer avenging his dog. He's just back to being a hitman. But from the trailer looks of it, it kind of showed a little bit of his wife, so we might be getting some more backstory into John Wick. Keanu Reeves is just, you can tell he really loves being John Wick. He gives a better performance as John than he did in The Matrix Resurrections as Neo. If 3 had ended on a note where it made sense to continue the story, I would be understanding. Instead, they kind of end on a note where Ian McShane just comes off as very strange, and I'm not sure I like what they did with his character in the end, what they're going to do. I'm not sure what their plan is. I really don't know that much about this movie, and I'm really looking forward to it because it comes out in like a month and a half and could not be more excited. Number 4 is going to be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to get crucified for this, I know, for putting it this low, but I really love Into the Spider-Verse. Amazing Spider-Man movie, amazing animated movie, an amazing superhero movie. But I think what made it so great is that, it had a ton of Spider-Man characters in it. It had a ton of different Spider-Man. It had cool spins on the villains and everything. But, at its core, it was a great Spider-Man story. It was a great Miles Morales story. It was a great Peter Parker story. I loved how, in the first one, it blended their stories together and they helped each other. Peter rediscovered his love for being a superhero, his love for life, and Miles discovered how he can help people and how he can learn to be a hero, and maybe not in all the ways that he expected. And I think that it does a great job of just telling a Spider-Man story. The multiverse stuff is just, icing on the cake with all the fun little characters. I really don't think Spider-Pig is that funny, but whatever, that's just me. But I loved how the story was about Miles Morales, Peter Parker, and Gwen Stacy. Those three characters were just so amazing together. They worked so well together. The movie is beautiful, it's fun, and Across the Spider-Verse looks like it's just going to be more of the same, which is great. But they're just going full throttle with the multiverse and Spider-Verse stuff, which is awesome. I love Spider-Man. I have a full display of Spider-Man figures on my shelf. I have Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home Spider-Man posters on my wall. I love Spider-Man, but what I love about Spider-Man isn't the multiverse aspect of him, it's the character, it's the stories that can be told about Spider-Man. From what I'm seeing, they're just going to focus on the multiverse aspect of Spider-Man, which, don't get me wrong, is a lot of fun, but it's mostly style and it's not as much substance as the first one. What really intrigues me about this one is what they're going to do with Miles and Gwen, and how they're going to bring them back into the Spider-Verse, and then also what they're going to do with the Spot and Miguel, Spider-Man 2099. He looks very interesting. He almost looks like he could be evil and the villain of this story. So again, I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also a little nervous, maybe a little bit more nervous than some other movies on this list, just because oh man, I love Spider-Man, I love the multiverse of him, but I need the character to be first and foremost. But the first one was so good that it gives me so much hope and goodwill for this one that they'll nail it. So coming in at number 3, we have Ant-Man 3. Yes, I know placing us over Spider-Verse is a crime. I should be punished by death. I should be hung, so on and so forth. But I am really looking forward to this movie. I love Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. The first Ant-Man is one of my favorite Marvel movies. I think it is just really fun and also tells a good story about an ex-con who just wants to reconnect with his daughter and be the hero that she thinks that he is. And I think that Michael Douglas and Paul Rudd have great chemistry in that movie. Evangeline Lilly does so well in that movie. It's directed very well. People who hate on it, I don't see where they're coming from, if I'm being honest. I really enjoy Darren Cross even. I think he's a fun villain. He just goes super crazy at the end as Yellow Jacket, and I'm excited to see Ant-Man 3. I'm really looking forward to it. Normally this would be on the bottom 5 of my list, but then they announced that Kang would be the villain and that Jonathan Majors will be playing him. And after seeing his performance in Loki of last year, this just skyrocketed. Every trailer, I cannot wait. The trailer they just released with it's a little more darker tone with Kang fighting Scott. That all right, I'm sold. I'm in. I bought my tickets already. I'm going. People who are I can understand not being super excited about the volume being used for the whole movie, as the lighting can look a little off sometimes. The staging can look a little off, but I'm hoping that they'll touch it up. And honestly, as long as they nail Kang, I can look past the flaws of this movie. As long as they nail Kang, I believe they can just immediately start running with Phase 5 and 6 with just the Kang Dynasty, with Kang popping up here, there, everywhere. I believe that if they nail Kang, they can reinvigorate, the casual audience's love for Marvel movies. I don't think they ever lost it. I just think that maybe some people are getting impatient and wishing every movie was an Endgame event. But I'm looking forward to Kang. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Hank Pym and Scott Lang. I think they do very well together. And I'm going to be interested to see what they're going to do with Scott's character. It looks like he's helping Kang out for this movie, which sometimes would bug me, but it makes perfect sense in this movie. He just wants to be with his daughter, so not complaining whatsoever. Number 2 on this list, the runner-up, is going to be Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't think I need to explain myself after Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, Fallout, and Top Gun Maverick, that hot streak that Tom Cruise is on, where he's just untouchable. Mission Impossible Fallout is one of the greatest action movies ever made. No one can tell me any differently. Ethan Hunt is going to be solidified, if this movie is great, as one of the greatest action heroes ever. I cannot wait for Dead Reckoning. I think that they're going to do a really great job of kind of tying up the last 4 or 5 movies, kind of tying up the ends of the franchise, and then going into the second part, which is coming next year. Christopher McQuarrie can keep killing it as a director. I'm really excited for this movie. I cannot wait. And honestly, it would be my number 1, but we are getting Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 this year. And normally this would be in my top 3. Maybe Mission Impossible could beat it. But then that first trailer released, and I was completely sold. That first trailer is probably one of my favorite trailers of all time, if not my favorite. The music is incredible, the tone, atmosphere, just everything they included with how ominous it is. One of the Guardians is going to die. That there's going to be a big status quo change. The High Evolutionary looks like a great villain. Rocket's going to meet Lyla. Peter Quill is going to have to deal with Gamora and everything. And it just looks like the whole movie is going to be the Guardians bonding, growing closer together until they're ripped apart, which is just going to be heartbreaking. But James Gunn has had such a long time to work on this script. He storyboards everything he writes. He puts so much care and love into all of his movies. I don't think it could be bad, which might be very, very confident and naive of me. I really enjoyed Guardians 2. I'm one of those people that thinks it's better than the first. I believe that maybe James Gunn can even outdo himself with making a better villain than Ego, and I'm honestly very much anticipating this movie. I cannot wait. I hope Rocket lives. I do not want him to die. I will probably be very upset if a talking raccoon dies in a movie. I never thought I'd say that, but here we are. Here we are. But yes, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, my number one most anticipated movie of the year. James Gunn can knock it home. Bring home probably one of the best, if not the best, Marvel trilogy. So I'm really excited, really looking forward to it. Can't wait. That's all for this, guys. I apologize if I seemed all over the place. I tried to write a script for this video, but I think I'm just doing a little bit better off the cuff. Also, I've been doing homework all day, so it wasn't my most energetic I've been. I do apologize for that. What are you looking forward to this year? Was there something on my list? Was it something I missed? Feel free to let me know. I'm very much looking forward to all the movies this year. I can't wait to go see some. I'm already creating a list of the best and the worst, and it's just kind of fluctuating. I decided that I should probably stay on top of that this year because last year I know I missed a few things, but let me know if there's something else I should watch. Stay tuned for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.